All right, so the first question is, what principles of effective speaking did you see in this speech? And this is from the Advocate 1 perspective. So a couple of us wrote the answers too on there.
Yeah, I started to write the answers and then I was trying to figure out the Google HL thing. But
Okay. I think he did a pretty good job. Like, I don't know, it seemed mostly like a bad job compared to the other ones, but
I think that guy tanked. Like, I'm not even going to mince words. It was absolutely awful. I was like, oh my goodness, I believe in God, but this guy is a crazy person.
I will be damned.
I was having a really hard time thinking of good things.
I was like embarrassed for like the Christian community. I was like, oh my goodness, please don't think this is what we sound like, because we don't. We're like we're regular humans. I promise. So I think he tanked. It was awful. Oh, it was so painful to watch. I was like, he's gonna grab a pitchfork like at any second now.
I know, oh man. I just felt bad, like, going on to the second question, like, the the premise was just, like, basically about listening to God's word, and if you didn't, like we said, like, you'd be damned. And so there wasn't really a good stance, or, like, factual, or I don't know how to put that into words, but
Yeah.
okay. So, if you were on the fence when it comes to same-sex marriage, how would you feel after listening to this speech? What do you guys think?
If I was on the fence, quite frankly, I'd be on the side of same-sex marriage after that, because like the difference in their ability to storytell and persuade was so different. Like, yeah, the one guy who seemed like a normal, capable, healthy human being who had been raised by two moms. And then you had this other guy who was advocating for marriage traditionally, and he was like a psycho. So you're like, okay, clearly.
It makes me wonder who chose those people. Like, there had to have been some agenda behind it. They had to have known they were choosing someone who would sound a little bit unhinged when he was presenting. Like, that was nuts.
Yeah,
They're like, oh yeah, let him speak, please.
This guy will, make it a shoe-in for us.
Right?
oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah, I felt like he also said that there's basically no hope for those people, and like, I don't know, it was just so sad, you know. And
Well,
want to love him.
on top of being kind of like crazy, he's strong-arming you. If you don't do what I think you should do, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't listen to that. Just based on that alone, I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lord will burn us all like Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like, okay, let's not go too scary here.
Oh, true. Yeah, so that basically sums it up. Like, so the less effective parts of his speech, basically, like, what I put was there was no fact. It was more one-sided. He did a bit of yelling, but, like, you know, it was from one of the quotes that we heard this week. Like, he who gets angry first loses the argument. So he kind of already lost the argument when he started trying to, like, force his opinion.
Yeah. I also think he used a lot of like messages. Everything he was saying was directed at someone else. Like, they are wrong. They are going to hell. They are going to burn. Whereas the other guy was more like, this is what my life is like. This is what I need. These are things that are important to me and to my family. And so that, yeah. They are going to burn. Whereas the other guy was more like, this is what my life is like. This is what I need. These are
Did you lose
things
your
that are
ball?
important to me and to my family. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And basically went with that three thing where he tells about himself, then he tells about how it affects everyone else, and then he said how it's going to affect the future. Kind of like that three stance that the other lady used in her argument. What was her name?
Barlow.
Yeah. So it was a little bit more persuasive in that way. Sorry, Lauren, do you have to go too?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of getting him in his car seat. And, yeah, I probably should go. I'm sorry, I have to leave early.
I'm sorry, Lauren. It was crazy this morning.
Oh, it's okay. But,
You got halfway through the questions.
well, I'll have to check out the recording and see how the rest of the meeting goes. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, well, we'll see you girls later. Have a good week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Really quickly, just for the sake of time, we have to go 20 minutes. So we've done half or a third of them in 5 minutes. We should. I mean, I guess there wasn't a lot to say about the last guy other than ouch, but.
Yeah.
So yeah, should we just basically sum it up with that last, the very last article about Matt Walsh?
See, now that person was enjoyable because he was definitely Christian. He definitely believed in God, and he was in support of traditional marriage. But he didn't say God said so, and you're gonna burn. It was like, here are the reasons why keeping marriage the way it is important. Here's what it helps. Here's the good that it does. I also believe in God, and because I do, that also adds to this. But it wasn't just like, God said so, you're going to burn. It was like very factual. He was very likable. There was something kind of like charismatic about him. So I thought that was a whole lot better. I was like, oh, thank you.
I love how he added his personality into it too, and basically flat out said, this is just going to be truths, and I know that you guys are going to argue against it, but I'm not going to back down with my character, and I'm just going to say it. So I really thought that was awesome.
I always love Matt Walsh, and I think he's one of the very few people who can write really snarky and get away with it.
He was like kind of sarcastic, but still very factually there.
Yeah, and so just some of the points, let's hurry and sum up some of the points, I guess. Like, so he talked about that, sorry, for this reason it certainly is not equal than any other union. I loved how he said, sorry, that marriage, like, it's not supposed to be something that's the same as everything else out there. Like, and then by them getting rid of the definition of marriage, now, like, what is the definition? You didn't redefine it because there's no redefinition.
I did like that he said that, where he's like, okay, now you've just obliterated marriage. Like, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
They didn't say, okay, well, here are the new parameters. Here's the new law. Here's the new rule. It was just like, you can marry anybody you want. Don't even matter. Marry a whale. Like, and then that means that, what about, like, polygamy? Or what about those groups where they marry 12-year-olds? Like, now where do we draw the line? Where is the line? If we keep making the line more and more nebulous, like,
Yeah.
how do we protect the institution or the name of it at all?
Yeah, so basically, like he said towards the end of the article, too, it's just about kind of sex versus, I can't remember the other word he used, but it's basically like the government's now going into, like, personal matters and stuff, so
Yeah.
you can't draw the line anywhere. And that's the nice part about the traditional marriages, because you could draw a line, and there was that definition.
Yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts, Jenica?
Well, I liked how he talked about, and you guys kind of touched on this, but I hadn't thought of it. Because now, yeah, we have no line. Soon we're going to start getting nitpicky because we're going to have to draw lines. And so we're going to go overboard because, well, who is allowed to marry each other? And instead of just man and woman, it's going to be like, not this and not that, not this and not that, because this is causing problems, and it's really messed a lot of things up.
Yeah, you could be so nitpicky, just like you said. You could, like, make it about anything, probably. Like, I don't know.
Or people could argue that Well, it doesn't matter what like societal norms are. Like, what if I love this thing or this person? Should not mean that I can be with them. Why would you ban my love? What if someone loves 4-year-olds? Like,
Yeah.
where when the government steps in and says you can love whoever you want, the personal needs of that one person overcomes what society needs, overcomes what is healthy, what is good for the world, and it's just about like, well, we care about each other, we love each other. And it's like, okay, well, one of you is 13. Like, now where do they draw the line?
Yeah, and then it comes down to that money stuff too. Sorry, Jenica, what?
Oh, I was just going to say, that's something I find really concerning because with child pornography, child sexual abuse is on the rise. So we have more and more pedophiles in our society now. And it's like rising. It's becoming more and more rampant. And so, yeah, there are going to be people, I'm sure, down the road who are going to want to marry children because that's what they love. And, you know, those little kids love them back. And so,
Right? Well, now they've said, like, what right does the government have to get in the way of love?
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, well, what about this kind of love?
yeah.
What about incest? What
Yeah.
about, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's
it was something that was protecting love more than anything else, and now it's obliterated it. It's removed the protections, not included more people in them.
Oh, I definitely agree. Like, it's just gonna be up in questions, you know. And then like another thing they touched on just really quickly was the tax benefits, because basically it seems like the homosexuals, they basically wanted it for money, even though a lot of people don't even realize that. We learned about that in a different class.
Mm-hmm.
Why else would you want to declare marriage as sex between people? Is to get benefits for you and your spouse and benefits for the children that they might adopt, or, you know, who knows? I don't even care. like, but basically it's kind of for the money purposes, because people could choose before that if they wanted to make those choices to like live with the same sex or whatever. But now that it's the law, now it's kind of for the benefits and money. So it's sad. Do you guys have any thoughts, or you good?
Yeah. Well, now I think that that also removes some of the benefits from married couples. Like now, if everyone is getting like the same
Like the
benefits, yeah, or being able to adopt, for example, like if you can adopt children, then you no longer are thinking about what the needs of the child are. It's all about the needs of that adult who wants a toy. Like, and then they'll have to be able to pay for their same health care, and they get sick more often than heterosexual couples because they're not as faithful as heterosexual couples. It's just like all of these things that are actually breaking down the safety that marriage provided. For women and children especially, like I'm not saying it doesn't help men at all, but really the protection of the law of marriage was for women and children. It was so that you as a woman were protected, that when you gave up your livelihood in order to raise children, and your spouse went to work, if he decided that he didn't want to be helpful anymore, or if he wanted to be harmful to you, like you wouldn't be destitute if that ended. Like, it just, there were a lot of laws in place that were for the protection of the wife and the children, and now they've made it so nebulous that it's like, it protects absolutely no one.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so sketchy, you know. like,
Right?
I don't know if people realize everything that they're saying yes to, just like he was saying, like, a lot of people aren't informed, so it's a good thing that we're learning about it now.
I think that, you know, we've seen this huge trickle down. Why get married? What's the point? there's no real point to getting married. And I think this has really made it worse. Fewer and fewer couples are going to choose to get married because there's no real point. It really doesn't mean anything. It's, you know, if you love each other and it's kind of a contract, but not really. And anyway, I think that's really upsetting. Like, there's no real point anymore to getting married.
That is also true.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, like if the government no longer recognized that I was married and the Lord recognized I was married, I'd be like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. Hey, Jenica, can you send the link to Maddie?
Yeah, I'll put it on the thread, and she can see it there. But I guess I could email it to her.
Oh. She keeps emailing the group.
Oh, does she?
Can't get in.
Oh, I emailed her. Okay, let me.
You just barely send the email? Because wasn't Maddie just a part of our group just a minute ago?
Yeah, she was.
No, I thought that was Lauren.
Oh, wait, that was Lauren.
Okay, just a sec. Let me go into my email.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, hopefully these things will be faster later on, too, now that we kind of know what's going on. Sorry. Yeah. I, practiced all last night. And
That's okay. The last semester was my first semester ever doing it, and it was a wreck the first few weeks. We were just such a mess. And then by the end of the semester, it was pretty, organized, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, oh, God.
Yeah, last week was my first week, and it was horrible. And I think, Karina, you stepped up and did it because it was so bad. And then this week it worked for whatever reason. Probably because I wasn't in charge of it.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, where is the link? Where did I put the link?
So if you go to the top of your screen, and you see this box that has the microphone and the camera, yours should also have a person with a plus sign, I think.
Yeah, okay. I got it.
So click on that and then copy the link and then send that link to her email.
Okay, just a sec, I'm doing it. Thank you.
It's super confusing the first semester. I thought I was going to die. I was like, I cannot handle doing this.
Yeah, because it's so easy.
My classes.
Yeah, it's so easy to start the Hangouts, but then when you have to record it, it's a little bit different.
Well, and I use, for all of my other classes, we've always used Adobe Connect. I'm even in another one that's still using Adobe Connect. So it's I'm trying to navigate between two different.
Yeah, totally different programs, yeah.
Okay, just a sec. Okay, I sent it to her.
Okay.
Let's see if she gets it. And then we can ask her if she has any input on anything.
Yeah, and then we can summarize it, because it's pretty good. But I really do like how we were able to have that discussion, because I actually didn't realize a lot of that stuff, too. The huge impact of everything.
And then we can ask her if she has any input. Yeah, smaller groups are nicer.
Summarize it, because it's pretty good.
Hey, Maddie, are you on?
But I really do like how we were able to have that discussion, because I actually didn't realize a lot of that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Hold on. My computer's thinking.
So you got it, Maddie?
Yeah, and all my input is on the Google document Kaylee sent out.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll just add that, all of our notes in. I'll just condense them.
Do you want to add anything just for the sake of this broadcast?
Maybe a little summary or something? Or what you thought?
I don't know. I thought I really the only opinion I really kind of took into account was the one that was for, same-sex marriage, because it was relatable, whereas the other ones were using very strong language. And it was kind of repulsive. I was like, well, okay, it's like hellfire and damnation over here.
Right? Super scary.
Yeah. Intense, huh? It's a little-
Because especially like the one guy who the article was like, "Come on, people." He's like, he was just being angry about it the whole time, not like trying to be understanding or anything. He just, and the other one was like, "You're not a good Christian unless you're against it," which is not a good thing to play in.
I guess he did add in the Christianity part. But I thought for the most part it was actually pretty good. At least just what I thought. I think it's awesome to get different views on it. I thought it was pretty good because I did like how much truth he added to it, and just like he said the consequences of how it will affect in the future and stuff. That's just kind of what I was thinking. But he did add the Christianity part to it. That's true.
I've been thinking about the difference between Matt Walsh and the other psycho-Christian guy, and I think that for me personally, and I wonder if other people perceive this too, when you're like psycho-Christian about it and you will go to hell and you're damned, it's like you're trying to speak for God. You're trying to speak for Jesus. And even if you believe it, it's almost like he's putting words into Christ's mouth. Like that, those words aren't specifically in the Bible, you know. But
Yeah.
Matt Walsh, he said, here's my perspective, here's what I've witnessed, here's what I've experienced, and here's how I feel that God supports me in this. These are my experiences with reading the Bible and seeing God in my life, and this is how I feel God supports me in this. And I think that that's the difference. That's how you can use Christianity effectively. Although, like Barlow said, I think you have to be very careful, but I think that's how he can use it effectively versus some of the other Christian arguments I've heard where I do feel like they're trying to speak for God. This is what God believes.
Yeah, I do like the truth he added to it. Like the first one that we listened to compared to the very last one, the Matt Walsh, it was a difference, I thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't so yelling as much and this is my way or the highway type of thing. Like he did say, like, I love how he did stand up for what he believed in, because then it's just up to you how you decide how you want to perceive it. But the other guy was more like, the first guy, it was more about this is God's way, and he was kind of almost being like, if you don't believe what God believes, it's kind of lame type of thing. I don't know. The other, Matt Walsh did a good job with, like, you can take it how it is, this is just how I perceive it.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, we've
Yeah.
met our time requirement. Would someone like, and I think we've said everything, would someone like to do a summary? Does anyone have a good summary?
Okay.
So basically, the information that you have is not as important as the story that you tell with it, or what position you're on. Because if you don't connect with your audience and help them feel like you have a story that can fit with theirs, and so you create empathy in your audience, then it doesn't matter how good your stance is or how right or how correct, you will get nowhere.
Yeah, definitely. Just like the little tactics that we were learning about this week. So,
Right?
Yeah.
It was fun to see them, like, see for real, like, wow, this is even a topic I agree on, and I disagree with this man. Like,
Yeah.
mhm.
They did a good job choosing this week.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming. And then next week it should be a lot faster. If we need help, I know how to help people now. So,
Who's doing it next week? Did we decide?